Good morning, I'm Guy Kesteven from Peddling Past, and this is the second part of my video guide to Cycling UK's new Traws Eryri Snowdonia route. So I'm literally just across the road from where I finished part one. Last night I've had a fabulous overnight stop in Trawsfynydd at the Cross Foxes, which is a bike hostel and pub in the village. It's a great village for resupply and everything. It's actually off the official route by about a mile, but that mile is completely on cycle paths, so it's nice and easy to get to. There's a cracking little village shop, there's a pharmacy, like I say, there's a Cross Foxes pub where I stayed, and yeah, there are few and far between supply stops on this route, so that's really worth knowing about, whether you're planning on stopping overnight or just getting your supplies together part way through the trip, because we're about 100k in, got 120k to go, and as you'd expect for the Traws Eryri, that's a lot of climbing, but a lot of beautiful mountain landscapes up over Blaenau Festiniog, the lead mines there, through the forest of Penmachno to Betis, up through Gwydir Forest, the back of Betis, then up towards Capel Curig, Plasy Brenin, over towards Bangor and Anglesey, and then a place I've never explored, which is the mountains just inland from the Menai Straits, over to Conway, where we finish at the massive castle and all the history surrounding that, and some spectacular civil engineering as well. So it's going to be a cracking day. It's not raining as much as the forecast said it would yet, which, considering it's February, I'm pretty pleased about. So let's hope that stays let's hope the weather stays kind for as long as possible, so I can give you the best views of this amazing route. But thanks very much to Cycling UK for letting me do the narration and the guidebook creation on this project, and thanks to National Resources Wales and Andy Braund for all the planning they've done in the background to make this route possible. Well, let's go! Straight away, we're on this ancient sunken road. Look at this. I mean, there is some rock under the grass, and I know it's ancient, and there's some rock under the grass because we're back on the San Helen Roman road again, heading towards a really important Roman site. Just a quick navigation note: when you're coming up the side of the field, you want to be to the right of the wall and making sure you go through these gates and over a little bridge. Yes, not heading straight towards the fort. And it's a bit of a slippery struggle when it's wet, I'll tell you that now. And just to sort of reinforce the point I made yesterday, make sure you leave all gates shut or as you found them, because shutting gates is what keeps the farmers happy and keeps routes like these open. But there we have the Roman fort here. You can see the embankments around the bottom, and then that big lump in the middle of it, that's actually a Norman motte for a Motte and Bailey castle, because obviously it's a key route up the valley throughout history. So once the Romans have made a nice rampart around the bottom, it was a nice easy job to stick a keep in the middle and call it a Norman castle as well. There's actually a amphitheatre and bathhouses here, so it's a proper Roman settlement, you know, a proper top-notch legionary premier inn. And you've got to remember that, you know, the Welsh gave the Romans, like pretty much every invader, absolute hell, and it was while the Romans were over here subduing the Silures that Boudicca, star of the Rebellion Way in Norfolk, which I shot last summer and wrote the guidebook for and planned out, etc., kicked off over there. So they had to come belting back from Wales and stop setting fire to all the cities in England. But yeah, definitely worth hopping over the fence. Well, no, sorry, don't hop over the fence. Find the official entry further up the hill and have a quick explore around. You know, a really, really important site there. And there's a royal hall belonging to the Welsh princes as well, because, like I say, important defensive site. Into the proper mountains now. Look at that view. And again, we've got another deserted single track Welsh mountain road, making the climbing a bit easier. Another ancient trackway surrounded by prehistoric mounds and the mine workings ahead. Properly is a magical place, this. Ben, who runs the Cross Foxes in Llanrwst, I stayed last night, loves a bit of Welsh folklore too. It's got the entire Welsh folk story of the Mabinogion tattooed all across him, from wrist across his chest to his wrist, which I think is fantastic. A proud independent country up here, as well they should be. And up here in North Wales, they're more fiercely proud of that independence than the other parts of Wales. And you know, everyone in the pub last night was speaking Welsh, which I love. You know, some people find it intimidating maybe, but no, it's a national language and it's great to know that it's growing again. I almost just a second ago, before I stopped the camera, called North Wales the Afghanistan of the United Kingdom, and I thought, oh no, negative connotations. I was like, no, hang on, negative connotations are only because bloody empires keep invading it and trying to impress their own rule unfairly on the people there. And that, you know, that resonates with any Welsh folk watching this, so go for it. Yeah, go Wales, go Afghanistan. Embrace a heritage and a landscape you should be bloody proud of. And again, I worry, because I mean, I'm part Welsh. You wouldn't know from my pronunciation, but my mum's from Llansilin and she died on Christmas Eve, so I'm dedicating this whole route in the guidebook to her, because she was no stranger to these mountains on her old 3-speed bike when there's pretty much no tarmac at all out here. She's own grandfather's worked in Festiniog, which is where I'm dropping down to now. So yeah, proud as part of this in my blood, very proud indeed. I'm proud to be showing it to you. It's a fantastic place. Don't let a bit of drizzle put you off. It's beautiful in summer. Mountain stream, check. Sheep, check. About to start 3.5 kilometre climb after already climbing for 2k. Check. Emily Chappell and Jenny Tuff did a fantastic film last year about bikepacking and adventure cycling. They talked a lot about getting out into vast landscapes and feeling tiny. Now that puts things into perspective, and the sun's just popped out over the shoulder. Still raining, but wow, that was a special moment. I totally understand what they mean. It's fantastic you can get that here in Wales in full effect. And now, after I roll down Penmachno Valley, we're climbing back up into the forests again. And if Penmachno sounds familiar, this forest also got, here we go, here's the map. Mountain bike trails in here as well. So all sorts of bits to explore as we go around. And look at that, got some sun and blue sky. So this route up through Penmachno is a bit of a meander, and you could go straight along the road if you're in a bustle to get to Betus. But I have to say, these hyper green forests are beautiful. and the surface is good. And taking the long loop around makes the climbing gradients a lot more bearable. So, Ben McEnroe gets a thumbs up from me. And right tucked away in the forest at the head of a valley is Timor Wybrand, 16th century farmhouse, which was home to Bishop William Morgan, who was the first person to translate the Bible into Welsh. So a very significant historical site and a beautiful little National Trust property. Although the loos in the house are actually shut at the moment because, well, it's February, but probably be open later in the year when this route's open as well. And while, you know, it's not spectacular mountain scenery like a lot of the route, I just love the little sections like this, just tiny little forgotten double track roads. And this is leading down from that, the Bishop's farmhouse. So it's obviously an ancient trackway, a stream running alongside, mossy boulders, these crooked trees. Oh, this is as much a part of the charm of the route as the huge mountains and epic views. Well, it is for me anyway. Beautiful riding. The catkins are coming out because it's nearly spring. There'll be lambs in the field soon. There's already finches and little furries scudding about. Now it's getting slightly warmer. And then the eagles and the buzzards are wheeling about overhead, ready to feed their chicks on the furries I've just been chatting about. Wales is properly alive. This route will make you feel alive too. Oh, fantastic. Woo! So, just stopped off in Betty Coed. Real little mountain centre this. It's got a station, it's got a bunch of shops, loads of cafes, loads of accommodation, places to stay. Just got myself a cup of tea and a cheese toastie to warm up a bit. It's not warm today, it's about 5 degrees and damp, so when I'm not moving, taking photographs and chatting, it's pretty cold. Anyway, there's go outdoors, there's outdoor shops, and so cracking resupply, or indeed a stopover centre if you're doing a sort of 3-day strategy on this route. And now it's up into Gwydir Forest for some more off-road climbing to warm me up. It's a beautiful place to stop and have a look around. Slate mining town, the whole centre of the region, so definitely worth putting some time aside on your route planning to make the most of Bettis. I'm not really going to film any specifics here in Gwydir because chatting to Andy, he's helped put the route together. It's not finalised yet, but I can say is there's some serious climbs. So don't go too mad on the buffet at Betty Coed. Because there's some proper elevation here, but when the weather's good, some proper Instagram worthy viewpoints and landmarks at the top, but fortunately weather's coming a bit, so I don't think Instagram's going to have much joy today. And now just drop down across the main road into Capel Curig. Tiny little village, but it's got an outdoor shop and a normal shop and a pub, cafe, toilets, so pretty much everything you need for a cycling route. And then off up the old Drove Road, mirroring the main road, which is on the other side of the valley, but you know, nice peaceful bit of mountain track instead. And now is probably as good a time as any to talk about the fact this is a proper mountain route. Lot of wilderness, lot of weather exposure. And because it's mountains, and particularly in Wales, that weather can change really quickly. So don't skimp on your warmth or your extra layers when you're packing. There's every chance you might need them. I mean, you might get lucky. I have beautiful days, in which case, you know, in which case everything can stay in your bag. But if the weather does come in, you'll be really glad. Packed a proper waterproof with some spare gloves. It's quite funny, my daughter's training to be a nurse in Wales, down in Aberystwyth, and she said to me yesterday, "Tell you what, Dad, the Welsh are bloody tough. I've seen Welsh farmers shrug off things that are killing Englishmen, stone dead, and not even bother to come into the surgery." And it's landscapes like this and weather like this that have bred that character. One thing I would say is that because these trails literally have a heart of stone, even when the weather's like this and you're essentially riding rivers, it's still good hard pack going. You're not going to sink into any slop. I mean, put this kind of water or weather onto something like King Alfred's Way, and a lot of it's going to be unrideable. So if you've booked some time off work in advance and the weather doesn't look too great, actually this route would be a great choice to make, because it's properly all weather and there's plenty of climbing to keep you warm as well. Well, I can't really recommend the short section of main road, the unavoidable short section of main road across the top, but there is kind of a bike bit to the side of it. Just stay tucked in and stay safe, put your rear light on. But I can recommend the hot chocolate at Ogwen Falls kiosk. They do pasties and sandwiches and other stuff, so it's been a real lifesaver as that, because the sleet properly got its tooth into me on the last section, and it's actually snowing up on the tops now. So yeah, descent down to Bethesda is going to be bit brisk, I think, but. And now back off road on NCN 82 National Cycle Network, and ride along the valley to Bethesda now. Dropped a bit of altitude, you can see a bit better now. And more slate mines ahead. Whew. Incredible. This massive pile of loose slate here. This is literally what Wales and North Wales's heyday was made of. This is a fantastic bit of trail down through these old slate workings. Lovely bit of cycle path. Really brings home the history of this area. Quite unlike anywhere else. There may be some bits in the Lake District up by Honister, but you know, this and one of the largest quarries in the area is still just up there. But that's also home to Zip World, which has Europe's longest zip line, over 1 kilometre long, and you can get up to 100 miles an hour on that zip line. But so if you fancy a thrill, stop off at Zip World on your way through. But I'm going back onto NCN 82 down to Bethesda. And I've already made some parallels about this route and Cornwall, where the West Kernow route is from Cycling UK, but it's really interesting now. Just inland from Anglesey, where the Romans said the Druids had their stronghold, and you know, obviously a very important prehistoric area. But these big stone walls and these high hedgerows, very, very reminiscent of Cornwall. And of course, if you go back into prehistory, those links all the way up the western coast from Spain, France, Brittany, Wales, Cornwall, all the way up to Scotland and Ireland were linked by the sea. And there it is. There we are, there's Anglesey in the Menai Straits. Stunning views across there. So just dropped down to the coast road, but then come up through Abergringeggen, and a couple of calves there, plus a load of history. Used to be a ceremonial centre for the Celts and Christians, the 5th, 6th century, and then got a big hill fort up there, and there's a Norman Motte and Bailey as well, just in the village. Plus, it's the start of a big old climb up to the Ryder waterfalls. Looks like I've got about 5k of climbing ahead of me. That should warm me up. And here we are again, climbing up another ancient trackway into the mountains, but look at the views. We've got Menai Straits behind us, and then fresh snow on the mountains up there. What a route! I am not going to get tired of saying that, even if I am kind of tired of gates and hills. But we're nearly done. And now we're back into the hills again. This area is incredibly rich in history. Bird mounds under there, there's a tumulus on top of that rise. There's tumulus there. Old Bronze Age or Neolithic burial mounds. And this route actually runs through a couple of small stone circles, so let's see if we can spot those and point them out as we're rolling back down again. But yeah, I mean, this is as rich a prehistoric landscape as you'll get outside of places like, you know, real barrow cemeteries like Stonehenge and stuff like that. Absolutely littered with marked stones, say stone circles. So at the very least, a really important ceremonial site up here. But when you look out over the sea and the mountains, you know, you can see why it's truly special. It's been special for millennia. Look at that. I hope you can see that on the GoPro, because stone circles here. Huh. Oh, soak in some of that prehistoric energy. And the fact it's a downhill helps as well. Just a quick navigation note as you're coming down from the tops on the double track. Looks like you should carry on over there. Actually, you want to be taking this post here and across the field. Final furlongs now, don't get lost. Another thing, to be honest, this route has been absolutely great. This is literally one of the first bits of litter I've seen, but shouldn't be here in a field of sheep. So do the right thing, even if it's not your litter. Pick it up, stuff it in your backpack, dispose of it properly at home, get it recycled. Trash-free trails, folks. Even just things like, how long have these stepping stones been here. You know, people have been up in these hills since the Neolithic period. It's like 4,000 years BC. How long have they been popping big stones into streams to make it easier to cross? Oh, I love this ancient stuff. Proper history. Oh, hello. We've got a little stile on a bridle path. That's going to be tricky if you're on an e-bike. I have to say, that's a cracking single track on this section of the route. Let's be careful of the sniper rocks as you're coming down. There's some greasy grassy sections if you're running summer tyres for speed. But this whole section at the end has just been brilliant. I think it might be one of my favourite bits. I mean, my legs are destroyed and it's brutal putting those serious climbs at the end, but in terms of it, you know, the historical interest and the varied landscape, but most of all, it's just so unexpected. You know, all the bits around Snowdonia and everything, you kind of know, and you're ready for them. You know, that's what you expect from this route. But I'm never going to drive along the A55 towards Beaumaris and think of the hills on my left hand side in the same way ever again. An amazing, just incredible ancient landscape up here. Go to go this way. And it's just so unexplored and so unrecognised. And I love the way that these Cycling UK, I mean, I can't take any credit for this one at all. This is all the work of Kieran and Andy Braun. And I'll admit, I've thought some dark thoughts about both of them on certain parts of these climbs. But what an incredible area to unlock. And to have the finish all the way into Conway, it's just brilliant as well. Oh, and here's the echoing rock. This is quite famous, this pass here we're dropping down to now. Bit of a tourist beauty spot. Yeah, this is Sishnang's Pass. A real beauty spot as you come up from the coast road. And one more climb. I think there's a few more, to be fair, but only short ones, please. Please, only be short ones. I am proper running. Oh, I've been running on an empty since my legs went completely numb. Coming up from Capel Currig in that sleet. But this is spectacular. I'm going to use it as an excuse to stop and take a photograph. And just for some last bit of prehistory, as you look up towards the top of Conway Mountain there, there's a hill fort right on the top, Castell. And it's quite rare because it's actually got quite a lot of settlements, quite a lot of huts inside it, about 50 odd huts inside the ramparts, and including two, which obviously part of the defences, like almost like a sentry post or something, one of which had a load of sling stones piled up inside the hut. So obviously a little bit of an armoury defending one of the entrances. And then if you look at that pointy thing in the distance, that's probably its predecessor, because right on top of that is another much smaller hill fort. So yet another bit of Celtic defensiveness in this. Obviously quite a hotly contested landscape. And now dropping down to Conway to see a very obvious castle of a much later date, and some other engineering treats as well. And it's literally the last descent of the trip. So Steady as she goes. Let's finish this fantastic adventure off safely, eh? Well, full marks for a fun finish, but obviously do be careful. A, you're probably going to be quite tired and riding a loaded bike at this point, but also there's obviously public bridle way, so don't be a pillock and ruin the name of people riding this route, because this deserves to be super popular. And the more people behave themselves and be good ambassadors for riding, the more routes that Cycling UK can put in. Because right now, with the success of King Alfred's Way, West Kernow Way, Canty Way, Rebellion Way, Great North Trail, there's a huge demand from places to get riders coming around exploring their trails. But that's only going to be the case if we behave ourselves, he says. Nearly binning it because he decided to do a little rock up. Relax a bit. That's Conway. It's a cracking finish though. It really is. Woo! Just rolling in down the estuary now on the cycle path. What a cracking way to finish, not least because of the views of Conway Castle and the bridges. Absolutely spectacular. So here I am, Conway Suspension Bridge, built by Thomas Telford. You've got the railway bridge, which doesn't look much, but when it was built it was a radical tubular box section structure, and then of course the massive castle at Conway itself. But you can learn all about them in the guidebook, so I'm going right home to write that up now. So all there is for me to say is thanks very much for joining me on this recce ride around the Traws Eryri. It's been a fantastic adventure. What, I mean, tough. Do not underestimate this route right to the end. It keeps giving you some hard work, but it also keeps delighting with incredible scenery, incredible views, and just an amazing sense of wild mountain adventure, an experience that you'll genuinely only get by bike. So as soon as this is live, get yourself the guidebook, start booking accommodation. You know, there's loads of different options around the route, you know, not just Ben at the Cross Foxes, although hopefully he'll be up and running by then. But you know, take as long as you want. You know, I've done it in 2 days, but frankly that's hurt, so it makes far more sense to do it in 3 or 4. Or if you want a really long adventure, then you can actually tag it onto the Trans-Cambrian Way and come all the way up from Newport, and that'll be a full week adventure. But for now, I've been Guy Kesteven from Pedaling Past. Delighted to bring you this preview of the Traws Eryri route for Cycling UK. Oh, and make sure you join Cycling UK if you're not already a member, because your membership not only gets you a load of perks, but means that they can carry on to create even more fantastic routes like this.